Fine, thanks.
Okay, excellent, Alicia. Okay, Benjamin, can you still hear me or no? I think he has some problem.
Hola, perdón, ¿ahí me escuchan?
Sí, sí, sí te escucho.
Ah,
¿Me
ok.
escuchas?
Perdón. Sí, perdón, estaba cambiando. Bueno, estaba viendo conectando los audífonos, pero creo que no me funcionan bien.
Okay.
Hola, good morning, Jose. I'm fine. Thank you. How are you?
Okay, excellent, Benjamin. I'm glad that you're fine today. I'm also fine. Thank you so much. So let's start with today's lesson, okay?
Okay.
Okay, and in our previous lesson, do you remember that we were talking about how to ask, in this case, for information, but also we learned how to use some expressions like excuse me, or some expressions to ask for information again. Okay, do you remember this topic we have?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And Alicia and Benjamin, you weren't able to attend our previous lesson, right? Sorry, Edgar and Alicia.
Yes, Jose, I didn't attend the last two classes.
Okay, I understand. It's fine. Okay. Well, we were talking about this expression, excuse me. Have you ever heard this expression before, Edgar and Alicia?
Yes, Jose.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's review it briefly so you can learn a little bit more how to use this expression. Okay, we usually use this expression, excuse me, but we can also use the expression, I'm sorry. Okay, these two expressions are the same. However, the expression, I'm sorry, is more common than excuse me. For example, here we have when people, okay, sorry. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I was telling you that it's more common to use I'm sorry instead of excuse me. Usamos estas dos expresiones usualmente para volverle a preguntar a otras personas qué es lo que acaban de mencionar. Okay, por ejemplo, these are known as echo questions. Se les conoce como echo questions. Okay, here it says that an echo question is a type of a direct question that repeats parts or of something that someone else has said. Okay, una echo question es un tipo de pregunta directa que repite parte o todo lo que alguien dijo, esto con el fin de que la otra persona vuelva a repetirlo. Okay, usually we use an echo question because we have not heard what it said, or because we are surprised by what the speaker has told us. Okay, usualmente utilizamos las echo questions porque no oímos lo que alguien más nos dijo o porque de alguna manera nos sorprendió lo que esa persona dijo. Por ejemplo, aquí tenemos un ejemplo that says, I went to Iceland to visit the volcano. Y la otra persona responde, you went where? To visit what? Okay. Esta persona tal vez no haya escuchado qué es lo que dijo la persona anterior y vuelve a repetirle o preguntarle qué es lo que acaba de decir. Por ejemplo, you went where? ¿A dónde fuiste? Or to visit what? ¿Qué visitaste? Okay. Esto es para, de alguna manera, volverle a preguntar a esta persona qué es lo que acaban de decir. Okay. ¿Queda claro esto, chicos?
Yes.
Any questions?
No.
No.
Okay. Do you know any other echo questions? So can you give an example?
It could be, for example, right.
Okay, right. Yeah, it can be, but we usually use right to confirm something. For example, I can tell you, you live in Mexico City, Edgar, right? And I'm expecting that you answer me with yes or no. Okay? Te puedo preguntar, ¿tú vives en México, Edgar? Right? Y yo espero tu respuesta, sí, sí vivo en México, o no, no vivo en México. Right? Lo utilizamos frecuentemente para preguntar algo, si es cierto o no. ¿De acuerdo?
But doesn't work like echo question, right?
Okay, yes. It's an echo question, but it doesn't have the same
Okay.
function as excuse me or I'm sorry.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Benjamin, Alicia, any questions?
No.
No.
Okay, so let's start practicing with some more questions about neighborhood, because this topic during the week we were talking about neighborhood and all that sort of stuff. Okay, we have these questions. Can you see these questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we have the first question that says neighbor complaints. Okay, this is the title of today's question, and this is the first question. What are the most common neighbor complaints? Do you know what is complaint?
It's like, es como
Okay, can you repeat it?
es cuando se quejan de algunas, no sé cómo.
Okay, excellent. Es cuando es una queja. Son quejas o cuando la gente se queja. Okay, muy bien. This is the first question. What are the most common neighbor complaints? Benjamín, ¿cuáles crees que sean las quejas más comunes en un vecindario?
Maybe for noise, the volume to the music.
Okay, the volume of the music. Okay, excellent. This is the one. Edgar, what do you think? Thank you, Benjamin. What do you think are the most common neighbor complaints?
Probably the garbage.
Okay. What else?
For example, if they have kids, obviously they make a high, louder noise.
Okay, nice. Okay, excellent, Edgar. And Alicia, what do you think are the most common neighbor complaints?
Where to park the car in the street?
Okay, excellent. That's a good one. Where to park your car at street. Okay, excellent. At street. We say at street or in the street. Okay. Yeah, both are the same. Okay, guys. Well, you were mentioning, for example, Benjamin mentioned the volume of the music, where to park the car, if they have kids, and all that sort of stuff. Okay, well, do you get on well with your neighbor? Do you know this expression, get on well?
No.
A good relations?
Exactly, it's a good relation. In this case, it's llevarse bien, get on well. It altogether is an expression that means have a good relationship with your neighbor. In this case, do you get on well with your neighbor, Benjamin?
Yes. I'm get on well with my neighbors.
Okay, I'm getting well with my neighbors. Or have you ever had a discussion with your neighbor? Well, okay, continue.
No, I don't have the discussions or complaints with my neighbor.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Benjamin. Well, let's learn this word. Argue is kind of like a talk, but in an aggressive way. Okay, por ejemplo, argue significa una pelea o discutir con sus vecinos. The word discussion es platicar, ¿ok? Una plática tranquila. Y si decimos argue es que están discutiendo, están peleando, ¿de acuerdo?
Okay.
Okay, excellent. Okay, thank you, Benjamin. Edgar, do you get on well with your neighbor?
Yeah, I don't have problems with anyone.
Okay, you don't have problems with your neighbors. Excellent. And Alicia, do you get on well with your neighbor?
Yeah, we don't. We aren't a best friend, but I never discuss with your.
Okay, you are not best friends. Okay, that's excellent. Okay, thank you, Alicia. Okay, in this case, let's talk about you guys. What kind of neighbors are you? Loud, dusty, nagging, and understanding. Do you know what is nagging?
No.
No.
Okay, nagging is, let's put it this way, gruñón, okay? Una persona que siempre se la pasa quejándose o de todo, ¿de acuerdo?
Okay.
Okay, okay.
Sorry, Jose, what's the difference between grumpy and nagging?
Okay, grumpy is kind of like a mood state. Por ejemplo, grumpy es como que más de las emociones. Okay, siempre se la pasa molesto todo el día, todo le molesta. Y nagging es como que una persona no siempre se la pasa molesto o molesta, pero si ve algo que no le gusta, te lo va a decir inmediatamente. ¿De acuerdo?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's the difference. It's almost the same, but in some cases, you can use it both ways. You're welcome, Edgar. Okay, o por ejemplo, nagging igual es como una persona molestosa. Por ejemplo, que te va a visitar a tu casa, aunque sin avisarte, y siempre se la pasa ahí, quizás perdiendo, haciéndote perder el tiempo, por ejemplo. ¿De acuerdo?
Okay.
Okay, excellent. Okay, then what kind of neighbor are you, Benjamin?
Sorry.
Okay, what kind of neighbor are you?
I don't know. I am a good neighbor.
Okay, you're a good neighbor. Excellent. What do you usually do? For example, do you usually, for example, do you play music at home?
Yes, but in middle volume, not in not with a volume for ¿cómo se llama? Un volumen alto, no a un volumen alto.
Okay,
Okay, not a high volume.
volumen alto. Okay, high volume. So you are an understanding neighbor. Okay, an understanding. Do you know what is understanding?
Yeah.
Comprensivo.
Exactly, comprensivo. Okay, so you care about others. Okay, okay, excellent, Mohammed. Thank you. Edgar, what kind of neighbor are you?
I think the same. I try to be a understanding neighbor.
Okay, you try to be an understanding neighbor. And what about music? Do you play music at home?
Yes, also I have a drum, so only play on the weekends because I try to be understanding neighbor. I don't like bother the others neighbors.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Edgar. Alicia, what kind of neighbor are you?
Is a noisy neighbor.
You're a nice neighbor. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you usually make too much noise at home?
Yes, and normally my neighbor turn on your music in a big sound.
Okay. And do you play music at home?
Yeah,
Okay. What's the volume that you usually use? High volume or low volume?
high volume.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. Volumen. Va. Okay. We say high volume for volumen alto y low volume for volumen bajo. Okay. Okay. So Alicia is a nice neighbor. Okay. That's okay. Okay, well, for example, here in Quintana Roo, at least the place where I live, that is Chetumal. Have you ever heard about this place, Chetumal?
Yes, I know the place.
Okay, have you been here?
Yes, I have been. Also, I went to Belize, and then go to Bacalar.
Okay, excellent. Okay, you went to Belize. That is really near Chetumal. It's almost 30 minutes away from Chetumal. Okay, excellent, Edgar. Well, here in Chetumal, people don't care if you are busy or if you are working. They usually play music at a high volume. They don't even care if that bothers you or no. They play music without even care. And they also, for example, here we are very noisy people. And they are always playing music. They are always talking loud. They are always having, for example, kind of like fight. They are always fighting here. I don't know why, but they are always having too much argument. Okay, just for you to know that here we are. We are well, not all people, but most of the people that live here usually play music at night. They don't even care if you are sleeping or no. They usually play music all the time. Okay. Well, I have asked you this question. Have you ever had problems with your neighbor? You told me that. Oh, you know. So have you ever had problems with your neighbor? Anyone?
No.
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 In my case, I had, I think 5 years ago, a problem, as Alice mentioned, with parking cars. Another neighbor parked on my side, so I have a problem with him.
Okay, you have a problem with him. Okay, and how do you solve that problem?
Well, unfortunately, the guy didn't understand my reasons, and also I had the best reasons to discuss the problem, but unfortunately he didn't understand. So I did call the police, so that's they resolve all the problem.
Okay, excellent. Edgar, so did you get kind of like into a fight or just a discussion.
I think both discussion and argue.
Okay, okay, good, Edgar. Well, here we have this question. What is it that neighbors do that fits you the most? Do you know this word, Pete?
No.
No. Okay,
No.
okay, déjame.
No.
Ok, fit en este caso puede ser un verbo o un sustantivo y es algo, por ejemplo, como una manía. ¿Sí le conoce? O es algo que las personas usualmente hacen que molestan a otras personas. For example, when people are eating and they make too many noises with their mouth. Okay? Algo que las personas hacen que te molesta mucho, que te incomoda, ¿de acuerdo?
Okay.
Fits you. Okay, and so what is it that neighbors do that fits you the most? Benjamin?
Nothing. My neighborhood is not my neighborhood is a good person.
Okay, neighbors are good people or persons. Okay, okay, so you don't have anything that fits you from them, right?
Yes.
Okay, excellent, Benjamin. And Edgar, what is it that neighbors do that fits you the most?
In my personal opinion, I think the most is the smells, the noises.
Okay, the smells and the noises. In this case, what kind of smells? For example, from the trash.
Yeah, for example, the clothes, also the kitchens or the houses. If they have a pet, probably the smell of the pets, kind of that.
I understand. There are many things that fix you from them. Okay, excellent, Edgar. And Alicia, what is it that neighbors do that fits you the most?
I think when let your trash in the street.
So in this case, do you tell them or do you leave it that way?
I don't anything, but is I don't like this action.
Okay, you don't do anything, but you don't like it. Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. I think trash is a very common problem in all parts, at least in Mexico. For example, where I live, people usually leave their trash on the street. And for example, stray dogs. Do you know what are stray dogs?
No.
Great. Okay, let me. Stray dog. Have you ever heard this word?
No.
Okay, son los perros callejeros o los gatos que viven en la calle. Los animales callejeros, ¿de acuerdo?
Okay.
Okay. Well, they usually people usually leave their trash on the street, and these stray dogs usually rip the bag and spread all the trash all over the street. Do I explain myself? Do you get it? Or
Yes.
Ok, me refería que cuando, por ejemplo, las personas usualmente dejan su basura en la calle y esos animales que viven en la calle, de hecho, suelen romper las bolsas y regar la basura por toda la calle y así se queda por mucho tiempo y el dueño de la basura no hace ninguna acción para evitar eso. Okay, that's one of the things that keeps me from my neighbor. Okay, sorry. And have you ever considered suing your neighbor? You know what is this word, suing?
No.
No.
No. No.
Okay, Alicia?
No.
Okay. The verb, it's a verb, to, in this case, demanda.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the question is, have you ever considered suing your neighbor? Why? For example, Edgar mentioned that he had an argument with his neighbor in this case due to the park space. So he called the police, right, Edgar?
Right.
Okay, so do you have any other anecdote similar to this one?
Well, I didn't get a swing with any person, but it's how can I say, at the low profile level.
Okay, I understand. Okay, thank you, guys. And Benjamin, have you ever considered suing your neighbor?
No.
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 Okay, but suing another person that isn't your neighbor?
No, in my neighborhood, no. All it's okay.
It's okay, all in the neighbor. Okay,
Mhm.
Excellent. And Alicia, have you ever considered suing your neighbor?
No, never.
Okay, never. Okay, but I think that there are some people that sue their neighbors. They don't even care. They sue their neighbors because they are somehow tired of their actions, and they do it. So what do you think? Do you know someone that has to someone?
I think as a Mexican people, we are understanding neighbors, but at least 3 or 4% of the average of the general populations, it could be on this concept. But I try to be a difference between United States citizens and Mexican citizens. In United States, it's totally different. They want suing every day for everything.
Yeah, that's right. There is a huge difference between Mexicans and Americans in this case. And as you mentioned, Edgar, they usually sue people for anything, at least for the minimum stuff. For example, if you tell them a bad word, they can sue you. If you don't, for example, if you look at them in a very strange way, they can sue you. They sue you for everything, as you mentioned. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Here we have this question. Do you treat others as you'd like to be treated? And Alicia?
The other's neighbor.
Okay,
Or I don't understand.
okay. ¿Tratas a las demás personas como te gustaría que ser tratada?
Okay. Yes.
Sí. Okay. How do you treat people?
In my case, I I think friendly.
Okay, you're a friendly neighbor in this case, right?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent, Elisa. And Benjamin, do you treat others as you like to be treated?
Yes, yes. I treat good all the people, all my neighbors, and um, only that.
Okay, you're good with your neighbors, so your neighbors are good with you, okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay, excellent, Benjamin. Okay, guys, I think we are running out of time from this meeting. Can you join to the same link again, please?
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you so much, guys. See you in
Uh, for example, be kind with the older people. Yeah, I think I try to do the best on me in all the cases. So I try it. I'm not the perfect neighbor, but I try.
Okay, Edgar. So you try to be a good neighbor to everyone, even though they don't treat you the same way, right?
Right.
Okay, that's good, Edgar. As you mentioned, it's always and it's important to be kind to others. It doesn't matter if they do the same for us. It's always to be nice to, in this case, to our neighbors. So yes, to have kind of like this good relationship with everyone. Okay, guys. So let's continue with other questions related to neighbors. Okay, can you see these other questions?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me some things about your neighbor, Benjamin?
Mm,
Can you talk a little bit about your neighbors? How is it like?
my neighborhood is a quiet place. It's a big place for three 3,000 house. Is is very it's a good place. I have two parks and schools and stores. Mm, and that it's all.
Okay. Excellent, Benjamin. You mentioned that you live in a quiet place, in this case, a quiet neighborhood.
Mhm.
Okay, that's good. Is your home far from your job?
Is is far away from my job.
Yes.
Is two is to three hours from my job.
Okay, so it's really far, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. Okay, and so do you drive to your home, or which mean of transportation do you use to get to?
No, I take a taxi for the Santa Fe, and then take a bus for San Jerónimo, and then take other bus for Perisur, and walk to my job.
Okay, excellent, Benjamin. So it takes you too much time to get to your job. Okay,
Yes.
I understand. Well, it also happens the same in my case. I don't live too far from my job, but I live, for example, an hour away. So I had to take at least three means of transportation to get here. For example, I took a taxi, and then I took another one, and I take other to get here. So in Mexico City, taxis are expensive or are cheap?
In maybe expensive. No, I don't know, guys. Edgar. Alicia?
Well, I think if we compare the cost, I think the tourist area at Quintana Roo, for example, if you take a taxi from the airport to Cancun, it's very expensive. It's like 400, something like that. So I think it's expensive. In my personal opinion, I think it's more expensive in Quintana Roo than here in Mexico City.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. In Cancun and all the tourist areas, for example, Playa del Carmen, Cozumel, Cancun, Tulum, taxis are really expensive. They charge you, for example, you mentioned from 300 to 400 pesos to just one service. It doesn't matter if you are just one person, it's 400 pesos or 300 pesos, depending on the distance of your destination. Okay, but in some cases, for example, here in Chetumal, the taxis are really cheap. For example, they are, for example, 25 to 50 pesos the maximum, but also depends on the distance. So they are cheap, I think. In Mexico City, how much do they cost? Do they charge you?
I think it depends because we have different services. For example, Uber, GT, Bit, different kind of these apps. I think they work with a dynamic tariff. So, for example, on the early morning, it's the dynamic it's very high. So doesn't matter if your distance is 5 kilometers to 10 kilometers. They could be 100 to 200 pesos for the ride.
Okay, I understand. Well, as you mentioned, you have different types of services. For example, Uber and all that sort of stuff, right? But here in Chetumal, we don't have Ubers. We don't have any type of service. We only have taxis. So they charge you, for example, 50 pesos, as I mentioned. Okay. Okay, Alicia, do you have any questions?
No.
No. Okay. Okay. So, do you have any questions, guys, in general about this question?
No, sir.
Okay. So let's continue then. Okay, Alicia, can you tell me some things about your neighborhoods?
It's very noisy, and I normally normally my neighborhood have a notoriety. The other person thinks that my neighbor don't say.
Okay. And what kind of places can we find in your neighborhood? Do they have bars, stores? Can you tell me a little bit more, please?
No. Near my house, I secondary elementary school and kindergarten, and I don't know, salubrity clinic.
Okay.
Uh, um, that's all.
Okay, okay. Excellent, Alicia. Okay, we can, una clínica de salud podemos decir, a health center. Okay,
Okay.
a health center, because it's kind of like this small place where you can go to check yourself out. Okay, Edgar, can you tell me a little bit or some things about your neighborhood, please?
Sure, Jose. Well, in my area, I think it's the same like all the neighborhoods in Mexico City, at least in general. All the houses is very, how can I say that? Very close to the other houses. So I think is because here in Mexico City we are a lot of people, and also there are a lot of houses. So probably the privacy is we don't know this word in Mexico City. So I think it is the same patrol in all houses. But at least the one of the things that I like for my neighborhood is the connections, because here I have all the transportation. For example, we have a Metrobus. Metrobus is like a subway, but in a bus. Also, we have subway stations very close here. We have a big restaurants, bars, malls, as Alice mentioned, schools, health centers, hospitals. So I think it's one of the positive things that we have in Mexico City. We need to put in the balance the bad things and the good things. But in my personal opinion, I think we have more more bad things, because also the insecurity is not very well right now. So yeah, yeah, that's all.
Okay, Edgar, thank you so much. Okay, you mentioned many things about your neighborhoods, and you mentioned some advantages and disadvantages. And one of the disadvantages, sorry, that you mentioned was the privacy, right? You live very close to other people, isn't it?
Right, Jose.
Okay, so and also the security, I think security in all Mexico isn't good. So we need to start thinking more about it. Okay, thank you so much, Edgar. And okay, Benjamin, can you tell me what are the advantages and disadvantages of your neighborhoods? Do you know these words?
Yes, las ventajas, ¿no?
Exactly.
Okay. Maybe the advantages is a very quiet place. It's a good neighborhood. I have a good ¿cómo era vecinos? Neighborhood?
Neighborhood es vecindario y neighbor, vecinos.
Neighbor, good neighbor in a good neighborhood. I have many forests near to my house, La Marquesa, and other parks, big parks or areas for recreation. I have good good. I don't have contamination here, and don't have traffic. I don't have very nice noise. And the disadvantages is far for my job, far from the city. But in my case, in my personal opinion, I prefer this. I live here for 2 years ago, and before I lived in the Mexico City for 35 years, 33 years, and I think that is a good change. I prefer live here.
Okay, excellent, excellent, Benjamin. That was a nice description of your neighborhoods. Thank you so much for sharing it. Okay, and finally, Alicia, what are the advantages and disadvantages of your neighborhoods?
I think the most advantage is normally I can use different public transport, for example, a bus, a cable bus, and the metro bus is near my neighborhood. And disadvantage, I think in my case, my job is far away than my house.
Okay, your advantage here is that you have different types or different means of transportation, right?
Yes.
Okay, excellent, Alicia. Thank you so much for sharing it. There is one thing that you would like to change about your neighborhood. Edgar, what would you change about it?
Well, probably, I think more options to mobility.
Okay.
For example, new bike roads or new stations bikes. I think it could be a big change for us. Also, well, that kind of initiatives, it could be help to the pollution here, because as you know, for example, in this month, for the reason is the warming weather. Some cars doesn't transit because we have how can I say it? Well, it's a restriction to drive here in Mexico City because the pollution is very high right now. So I think it could be a good opportunity to help the environment here in Mexico City with these changes.
Okay, I think it's a good initiative to have other types of transportation, in this case to avoid pollution in your city. Okay, thank you, Edgar. And finally, we have just 1 minute. Benjamin, what would you change about your neighborhoods?
Maybe one thing, have a subway or metros closer to my house.
Okay, also means of transportation in your case, right?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. And finally, Alicia, what would you change about your neighborhoods?
I think place the trash containers in the street, but the people don't throw away your trash.
Okay, excellent. To have more trash bins in this case.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent, Alicia. Well, guys, do you have any questions or any comments about today's lesson?
No, thanks.
Okay, it's so clear then. Okay, so okay, before we finish, I would like to remind you or to tell you that you need to keep answering your activities in the regular platform. Okay. Okay, Edgar, do you already have your accounts to access to the regular platform?
Well, today we learn, for example, ECHA questions. We can use excuse me to be repetitive things that other person tell us.
Okay, excellent. That's something that you learned today. Okay, but thanks for sharing that. But I was asking you, ¿ya tienes tu cuenta para entrar a la plataforma de Recreo?
Oh, yeah. Miguel gave me the access.
Okay, muy bien. So please continue answering your activities on that platform. Okay, you have the opportunity to do it during all the week. Okay, guys. So if you have any more questions, you can post it on the Jammer group, and also I'll be able to help you. Okay, so if you don't have any more questions, that'll be it for today, and I'll see you next week. Okay.
Okay.
See you.
Thank you.
Okay. See you.
See you. Have
Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. See you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.